What is going on, miners, and welcome back to the Hobbyist Miner channel. Well, CPU mining has been quite the craze recently, and right around the corner here we have proof of useful work, more specifically Flux's proof of useful work project. And I thought, we haven't really done a rig build in a while, and I've been slowly accumulating parts recently. I've had some live streams going over some purchases, some hardware I've gotten. I'm not big on buying a lot of brand new, shiny, super expensive stuff. So I actually went and bought some older hardware that we're going to repurpose for CPU mining, as well as prep for proof of useful work. So let's go ahead and show you guys what I got.
Today's video is sponsored by CryptoCaverns.com. I had the pleasure of visiting Crypto Caverns mining farm and facility back in October. Rows and rows of hosted GPU mining rigs and customer ASICs line their impressive facility, located in upstate New York along a river and hydroelectric dam. The team at Crypto Caverns is now offering the public the ability to purchase GPUs and ASICs directly from their website with no minimum quantity required. I just picked up 5 Galax RTX 3070s from Crypto Caverns, and I'm considering nabbing 3 more to fill a full 8 GPU mining rig. Concerned on quality? No worries. Crypto Caverns has a full 30-day money-back guarantee return policy, as well as volume discounting and free domestic shipping in the United States. Use checkout code HOBBYIST for $100 off any ASIC purchase. Thanks again to CryptoCaverns.com for supporting the hobbyist miner community.
All right, so here it is. It's actually a workstation computer. You can actually see here it's a Dell 7810 is what this is. Right down here, Dell Precision Tower. So this is a workstation tower. A lot of these have been used for lots of things like CAD and rendering and all that fun stuff over the years. They've actually pretty beefy machines from Dell. But what attracted me to this was actually a conversation I had with the Mining King. If you haven't checked out his channel, I'll put a link directly down below. He first brought me on to this was, check it out. What do you see? I see a motherboard, gutted a bunch of stuff, some cables, but here it is right here. 2 CPU slots. So that's why we actually bought this entire thing. And all that over there is just guts, stuff that I removed from it. Now, some unique things about this is that in the build today, we're going to pull out the motherboard. We're going to reuse some cabling here and there, but take a look. We got some proprietary stuff here, like a 10-pin for power to the motherboard that goes down to this unique Dell distribution board, and then this cartridge style, just like we have with the server power supplies, almost called a cartridge style here, power supply. So we're pretty much going to keep this for now just to power the motherboard, but we're going to install a different power supply to power some GPUs, because we're not just going to do CPUs in this, we're also going to do GPUs. Now, with proof of useful work, you can use X8 slots for PCI, but it is highly recommended to use X16. So down here, we actually have X8, X16, X16, and then, so that's kind of where we're at here with this board. So we're going to utilize these 2 slots, and we're going to put 2 3060s in it. So are we reusing anything other than the motherboard, the force distribution board, and the force power supply? Well, it comes with a processor, but we're actually going to be replacing it. So show that to you in a minute. We're going to be reusing the heatsink. This is one that came out of it. It did come with the memory. It's only 4 gigabytes, so that's only going to give us 16 gigs here. And memory is super, super important for proof of useful work. So as I said, we're building this as a CPU mining rig for now, but we are going to repurpose it later for proof of useful work. So we're kind of keeping that in mind. It does have a solid state. We're not going to reuse it for this setup, but we'll repurpose it, put it in our stock there. And then check this out. We'll call this the RTX 4090 Ti. This is a little quadro card. We're not going to repurpose this. I mean, if we wanted to, we could, but what are you going to do with this thing, right? So that's probably going to go to the scrapyard for recycling and such. All right, so on to the good stuff, right? So we'll start with hard drives. So we're building this, as we said, not only for CPU mining, but also for proof of useful work here. And that's really where these CPUs are going to come into play. But It is recommended. I had a video actually sat down with the Flux, one of the Flux developers on the Proof of Useful Work project. They recommended a fast, like solid state drive. So we went with a Evo 870, 1 terabyte, and then they recommended having some more slower turning, colder storage. So we've gone ahead and gone with a Western Digital Red 8 terabyte drive. Plenty of that, which will work out well paired with those. Now, here is the memory upgrade. We actually have, these are each 16 gigabyte. So that's going to go ahead and give us 128 gigabytes of memory. And based off of my conversations with Alex, who's the developer from that Proof of Useful Work project for Flux, he had recommended, like the minimum was the GPU memory and then 25% more. But the recommended is the GPU memory 4 times more, which is pretty significant, especially if you have, like, I'm going to put a 3060 in here. I'll show you in a minute. 3060 with 12 gigabytes of memory. So you almost need to do 12 times 4 in order to get the appropriate amount. So we're going to do good here. We'll look to do pretty good there. If you guys were curious on the math there, that's 48 gigabytes. So we're going to need 48 gigabytes for our one GPU, 48 gigabytes for our next GPU there. So we're still looking good. We're actually going to have more than we need, which is great. And he pretty much said, like, the more you can have, the better. Now let's move on here. So we've gone ahead and at the recommendation of the Mining King, so shout out to him as well, we're going to go from an 8 core to 2 14 cores, and we actually picked up, look at that, proper heatsink to go along with that. Now, we're actually going to pull all this out and put it in a AAA Wave 12 GPU mining frame. This one actually has the, if you guys are ever interested, there is a stackable ears. Some of you guys maybe, I'll put a link to those if you guys are interested. They're pretty nice. You can slide on another one on top of it. We're going to move everything into here because I need more room. I need to add another power supply. We're going to do like an HP server power supply add on here for the GPUs and such. So I decided I'm going to try to see if I can figure out to finagle it into here. Now, for more room, we've gone ahead and gotten ribbon cables. Super important here. These are PCI 3 X16 ribbon cables. I think they were just under $20 each that we're going to plug into our board, and then it's going to go up into the GPU. We got to figure out something, how we want to do that. I'm going to see what I can figure out. It's, you know, where this project is definitely going to be figure out as we go. Now for the GPUs, this is a miner dude case that I had out in my shed mining on Flux. I have put it on Caspa, on Ergo before. These are a variety of 3060 Ti's and also 3060s. And so I'm going to take the 3060s out of here because of how important VRAM is and the size of the VRAM for Proof of Useful Work. Not necessarily affecting CPU mining, but more on that on the Proof of Useful Work side. So I'm going to take our, we have an EVGA, this is the XC, the 3060s, remember those. And then I also have a Gigabyte as well. Over here, a 3060. We'll pull those out. The 3060 Ti's have actually less VRAM overall. So I got a lot of work to do, and I won't bore you guys with step by step by step by step, but I'm going to go ahead and get this all built, and then I'll show it off to you guys. All right, so it's been a little bit here. Not a huge update for you guys. Took us a while to get that motherboard out. The amount of cables in this thing, oh my gosh. But we learned something. What do you guys see? So you can see here, see where my finger's at back behind here? See those holes? Well, we need these anchors for, it's actually the back plates are built into the case itself. Right here, and right here, and right here, and right here. So a little oversight on our part, but what do? We're doing a build, we're in the middle of it. We need that. And this back doesn't actually come off easy. Like everything's like riveted together and stuff like that. So I want this area and I want this area. So this may sound entirely stupid and crazy, but I'm going to try to cut it out. We'll see what happens. I'm going to try to like put some holes in here through the case and then take like a metal jigsaw and just cut like the backplate area, and same thing over here. So wish me luck. All right, we won't dwell on this too long, but I'm super proud of how this turned out. Check it out. We have both processors installed with the heat sinks. So let's go ahead and gentle. This thing is heavy. Take a look at our backside. It's not, sounds dirty. It's not the cleanest, but it gets the job done and it allows us to repurpose this motherboard. So something I was thinking about as I was kind of putting this all together is, this is a Dell motherboard. So the downside is like there's going to be a boatload of like red flags and alerts going off when I power this up, and like the speaker's not plugged in and the front chassis fans aren't plugged in and all these types of things. So that might really delay progress on this, but I'm excited. Let's keep moving forward. We have lots to install. All right, look at this mess. Oh my word. So I decided to go a totally different avenue. This video started out as a build video and has now turned into a proof of concept video. So I decided to go ahead and just like set everything up easily on this table just to make sure everything worked. So it looks like a giant mess. Let me explain and then we'll get into it. So let's move this here. So I have both of the CPUs actually on these ribbon cables here because that's how we're going to have them eventually. We're going to have, let me grab this GPU here. The GPU is going to be sitting up on one of the frames for the 12 GPU frame that we do have. But you can see, check it out. We have processor, this is actually processor 2 with our heatsink. This is actually processor 1 over here. We have all of our memory installed on both sides, giving us 128 gigabytes of memory. We are using both of our ribbon cables in the X16 slots as well. Let me move this over a little bit to get it out of the way. Now, we have we'll talk about the power supply in a minute because that's really the mess of it. Solid state we have plugged in here. This is the 1 terabyte as well as our 8 terabyte going into the SATA ports. Now, where things get a little wonky and weird is the power supply. So take a look. You have the 10 pin and the 10 pin. One 10 pin goes right here, and the other 10 pin goes up underneath and plugged in over here. So we're stuck using this power supply for now, but we do have a solution in place for the future. I mean, look at this. Look at this 24 pin here, and then look at this little like short little gap into the 24 pin here. But look at this. Look what Dell does. They like splice in SATA connections and splice in more SATA connections. It's like, wow, they really just like, I don't know, half-assed this quite a bit. We do have one 8-pin here, which is good, but I didn't have an 8-pin to 8-pin cable like to go to like one of these GPUs. But, so I'm stuck using this power supply for now, and because of that, I actually had to rip out the front panel. This is your front panel with your power button. So I only have the power button wired over here, and this is something else I have to figure out and overcome, is to determine where, like within all of these pins, this actually has like its own set of pins in here, which ones are the power, so I can use just a little manual power button. I mean, I'll probably just do like power on with AC power. All of that said, there's no room for any GPUs, so I do have an ATX power supply over here. This is an EVGA, I think it's 550 watt, and we have a little connector on the end here, a little tester, kind of like to spoof it, and we have each of the 3060s plugged in. So this looks like an entire mess, and it kind of is. But we made some really good progress. It has been several hours, had some time to work on it, had to step away, things like that. But I'd like to go ahead and power this up, show you the progress we made. We got into the BIOS, how everything's registering, which is awesome. I do have some options here. So if I can get away from these 10 pins, at least on this side, the power side, I've actually been talking to the Veteran Miner. Awesome guy. If you guys haven't taken a look, go over and look at his website, The Veteran Miner. He sells a whole bunch of different custom mining cables. He actually has a 10-pin cable that goes to an 8-pin, and it's all designed properly and stuff like that. So that would allow me to move away from this here, and I could move to a completely traditional ATX power supply, which would be awesome. All right, we're booted up. We're in the BIOS. You guys can see we're at 128 gigabytes of DDR4. And then if we go ahead and scroll down here, you guys can see, check it out. We have our one processor, E2697V3, and a second one right here, both showing our core count of 14 and 14, which is absolutely awesome. Down below, check it out. Both of our hard drives have come up, our solid state as well as our Western Digital 8 terabyte drive there. So we are all set. All right, so as we talked about before, we're getting a bunch of these errors that are actually delaying the boot. Fan system 1, 2, and 3. So they're actually on the sides of the case here. You can actually see it. Like this is the hard drive one, which I'm not concerned about, but like here's fan system 1, 2, 3. So I was doing some research online. There's a way to like tie these together with some blue cable or something to kind of just to show it something on there in order to avoid this kind of boot delay. But as we expected, an issue. I actually did a bunch of research and found that like you literally can't turn this off. There isn't a spot in the BIOS to disable these alerts, which is a real pain in the butt.
All right, guys. So we're over in Hive OS. I decided to do Hive OS first versus NiceHash. And we do have right here my proof of useful work rig. If we click on it, it's showing my 3060s, which is awesome. I'm glad everything worked out. It booted good, but I don't see the CPUs to be utilized here. But if you look down below, you know, it shows the motherboard Dell, and it's got a bunch of A250 or A25 is what's listed as. The CPU though has, on some of you guys may know significantly more than I do, so please comment down below, let me know. 56 Intel, and then we have our E5 2697 V3. It doesn't say like ×2 or anything. The 56 kind of throws me off a little bit. Maybe some of you guys know more. I did a little bit of Googling online and found that like, I think it's something about like Hive OS with 32 versus 64 and something about 64 and how it's not supported. So I assume that when we eventually get to Flux's proof of useful work that it supports, hopefully that it supports like whatever we're doing here with the double processors, which is everything they're doing. Because this is nothing new, and based off like some of my conversations with Alex from their team, you know, it's supported and everything. So I'm a little hesitant here. I have a lot of work to do, a lot of research to do. You know, this is more than what I expected, I'll be honest. But we're definitely making some good headway. All right, so we have NiceHash installed. This is the Linux OS version. You don't need Windows. It's very similar to Hive OS. But kind of some similar things here. So my 3060s show up good. You can see my processor is in there, which is awesome. It's disabled, so I can go ahead and enable it, but I don't see the second one. So I'm going to have to do some research, see what we can figure out from here. Kind of bummed. I was hoping that like I could go ahead and do some good testing with like profitability and performance and stuff. With this rig at this point in time. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm going to have to look into it some more and see what we can do.
All right, so it absolutely does look like a giant mess here. This is the NiceHash screen if you guys are curious on what that looks like. But I'm excited. It's kind of a fun little pet project here. Am I looking at profitability? No. This is very much just like something fun to do. I know, I said it, the word fun. Some of you guys have already exited or made a mean comment saying, this isn't profitable, and you know what? It might not be right now. But I'm enjoying it. It has been fun so far. Anyways, so I'm going to work with the veteran miner, see what I can figure out with some cables so we can get away from this power supply, run with a more traditional power supply, and then I can really get this into... I'm looking at a 12 GPU mining frame that I showed you guys before because I think that'll work out well. I might have to go, GPU Risers has like an Omega frame, which is even bigger. Not because of GPUs I need, but because the size of this motherboard is significantly larger. I don't know. We're going to have to see how everything kind of fits together. Kind of going to, I guess, turn this into like a video series at this point. Well, we didn't accomplish anything great and massive today, but it was a lot of fun to spend some time tinkering again. Feels like just a few years ago when we were doing this and building out these rigs on boards. You know, remember, if you guys followed the channel that long ago, we were taking apart some HP desktops and turning them into GPU mining rigs. Kind of feels like that again. But this was a lot of fun. I did enjoy it. I'd love to hear some comments down below. Maybe I'm missing something. Give me some details with if it's Hive OS or NiceHash. Maybe you guys have already done the research. Do they support that second processor or not? You know, I'd love to hear from you guys. Well, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it and want to see more on this series, give it one of these, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
The MeterBox and OctoMiner are teaming up for another exciting giveaway. Win the latest proof of useful work, OctoServer E10, and X8 Ultra Plus and more. Introducing the limited edition Octominer box set by MeterBox. It includes the 125-volt and 250-volt meter boxes, a special NFT, stickers, and a keychain. Hurry, only 250 box sets available. Visit themeterbox.com now to secure yours today. Purchase the Octominer box set and unlock a secret code for 1,000 entries. Plus, earn an extra 1,000 entries and receive that collectible NFT. Don't miss out. The contest ends July 30th.